All right, peace, peace. Welcome, welcome. I woke up today tired, gloomy weekend, rainy, but I like that. You get to kick back, chill. And I'm still doing research, family history. Um, so I said, when I do my studies, like I'm just gonna focus on what pertains to like my family history and then my personal interests. So a couple days ago, I did a video on Portugal. Um, Today, dive into Trinidad. I've done Trinidad before. I've done Barbados, Grenada. Um, so yeah, mainly like those four. I connected Portugal to Massachusetts and gave that history. And October 5th, 1905 or 1910 was a significant event in Portuguese history that led to them leaving the monarchy and becoming a republic, if I recall that correctly. Um, that's one of my low key skills. One of my low key skills is that once I read something, I'm able to recall it very well. But as far as like my general memory, you could tell me like, "Yo, remember when we such and such?" I'd be like, "Yo, bro, I don't remember that." So I do a good job of like remembering stuff that I read, but I don't always remember everything that happened, once upon a time. But I found this cool article, two of them. But I'm gonna start with one. No, I found one's the video, one's an article. I haven't even read the article, but the article is the thumbnail and it is interesting. And I think I know the direction that they're gonna go with this. And it's very, very, very interesting. So let's see if they take it where I think they're gonna take it in this article. Because if they don't do it, I'll do it. If they don't do it, I'll do it. Okay, so let's see. This is from Indo-Caribbean Publications.com. Amerindians related to East Indians. This is good. And I think I was just talking to Truist about something pertaining to this when it comes to Pacific Islanders. This connection. Ricardo Bar- Barath Hernandez. So he got like a Hispanic and Indian name with that Barath. That looks Indian. Is the chief of the Santa Rosa First Peoples in Trinidad and Tobago. So I know who this guy is. If you see him, he actually looks black, as we would say. So let me show who he is. So this is him right here. All right, so he's the chief of the First Nation. So we're gonna have to find out his connection to those people as well. But his Hindi middle name is both symbolic and real. The English translation for Bharath is India, from where some of Ricardo's ancestors came 17,000 years ago. After all, Christopher Columbus had not really made a mistake in calling the natives Indians. I like this article so much already. I like this article so much already. This is good. This is good. Hold on. Let me see if I could get Truist to join in on this. Truist, if you're listening, I need you to let me see if I could get him to join this. I just called him, no answer. Gonna call again. He probably sleeping. All right, you know what? I'm gonna leave him a message. Let me see. Yo, we on live right now. Great topic. I need you to come in and listen to this, bro, and see what you think about this. It's touching on Pacific Islanders and the American Indians in that history. We was just kind of talking about this a few days ago. So join the live, bro. All right. Maybe he'll join. Let's get back to the article because this is good. All right. The English translation for Bharat is India, from where some of Ricardo's ancestors came 17,000 years ago. So came where, right? And then it's talking about Indians or people from Bharat. So let's go into this Bharat word. Bharat map. Because I'm not sure if I'm fully on board now with what they're saying. Okay. Now, I think generally speaking, most people don't know geography of India, myself included. So this is interesting. So the upper the upper portion is called Hindi generally. In Punjab, Kashmiri, and I think Kashmir might be going toward Pakistan. So you might see more Arab admixture toward the north and the northwest. And then the south, you got the Tamil people, who I know because people make a big deal about them because they're very black. Um, and then you got Malaya, the Malaya, however you say that, Malaya, Malaya, whatever, man. The Malayas down there in Bengali. All right. Well, Bengali is actually a set of islands and parts of a larger mainland. Okay, so I just want to look into that really quick. Let's go back to the article. Christopher Columbus had not really made a mistake in calling the natives Indians when he came to the Caribbean in 1492. Indeed, the indigenous people, whom Columbus described as having brown skin and straight black hair, were actually descendants of ancient East Indians in the Americas. Okay, you know what? He's saying something I haven't really heard before. We typically hear about the Bering Strait and them descending from Siberians, but it seems like he's talking about a different group of people came to the Americas. You know what I'm saying? He's saying it's the the Hindi or Bharat, whatever however you say it, came to America. So Buruz is also the name of the first indentured immigrant from India to set foot in Trinidad from the ship Fatel Rozak, which landed on May 30th, 1845. Buruz represents the second wave of migrants to arrive in the Americas from India, and Ricardo Barath represents the first band of migrants from India. So they're saying there's the one that's more popularly known that happened in the 1800s, but that's the second one according to this article. I ain't heard of no first one. Unless he's going to try to argue, or he or she, whoever the author of this is going to try to argue that these Asian people aren't different. I kind of want to see who wrote this. Kumar Mahabir is a full-time anthropologist at the University of Guyana and the fellow of the Eckley Center for American Studies, British Library, 2022-23. He is a former assistant professor at the university. Okay, so you are an educator. That's cool. That's cute. But let's see if what you're saying is actually sound and correct. Let's see if what he's teaching is backed by anthropology, history, and all these other disciplines. The very first migrants, see, here we go. The very first migrants from India made the long journey from Siberia in Asia to Alaska in North America across the relatively narrow and shallow land bridge, the Bering Straits, about 17,000 years ago. So he's saying there were Indians that came, like actual Badath Indians that came to the Americas. Okay, let's see. This fact can be framed in the anthropological theories of cultural diffusion, cultural globalization, and transnational migration. These theories were first proposed by anthropologist Edward Tylor in 1865 and Leo Frobenius in 1897-98. Okay, and indeed, Badath and Christo Adonis, as well as many members of his Amerindian tribe, are related religiously, culturally, phenotypically, and genetically to East Indians in India and Trinidad. Shaman Christo said in a 1998 interview, "I have East Indian blood in me." His claim is supported scientifically by Dr. Jada Ben Torres of the University of Notre Dame. See, I'm already getting bothered by this article because I feel like this um, person has an agenda for saying this. I just want to see the evidence, though. So let's see, though. Maybe I can learn something new. Who knows? And her geneticist colleagues, they analyzed mitochondrial DNA and Y chromosomes in 12 unrelated individuals of the First Peoples community in Arima in Trinidad. All right, so 12 people. I'm going to ask this though. If their DNA does show East Indian, how do we determine when that admixture took place? That's one of my questions. Torres and her colleagues detected haplotypes relating to South Asian and other ancestries. Because what if that admixture took place prior to them coming to the Americas? So what if it was already a mixed ancestry that already happened in Asia? And then those quote unquote mixed peoples were part of the larger migrations to the Americas. This is what I'm thinking. If if this study is true, um, they analyzed mitochondrial DNA and Y chromosomes in 12 unrelated individuals of the First Peoples community in Arima and Trinidad. Torres and her colleagues detected haplotypes relating to South Asian and other ancestry. See, I need the DNA guy to come up here. I need the DNA guy. The Amerindians in the Caribbean were primarily agricultural workers who used Trinidad as a transit point to travel and trade from island to island in their canoes. They consisted of many tribes who lived in places such as Caroni, Chaguanas, Oropuch, Otoar, Biche, and Penal, where East Indians are now the majority population. So it's saying where formerly where the Amerindian tribes inhabited is now inhabited by mainly East Indians. Trinidad is also the oldest inhabited island in the Caribbean. Archaeological records indicate that the human skeleton found in Banwari Trace in Penal has been carbon dated to 5200 BC. The oldest pre-Columbian site in the chain of islands. All right, so you got a human skeleton that goes back to 5,200 BC, found in Trinidad. Okay, there are numerous research articles, papers, chapters, and books by East Indians and non-East Indians on the influence of Hinduism in India on the first peoples of the New World. For example, the book Hindu America in 1941 by Shaman Lal illustrates the imprints of Hindu culture on the Americas. Lau and Gordon Ekholm also systematically compared the Maya, Aztec, Inca, and North American indigenous civilizations with India and the Hindu Buddhist oriented countries of Southeast Asia. I actually agree with that. When you look at some of the cultures in Mexico, Central America, they heavily resemble the cultures that you see in Asia. Like the dragon, um, that's a major one for me, and to me also the architecture. Like the same way, there's similarities that the Asians, the Southern Asians, were building these pyramidal structures, steep structures. You see that also in some parts of the Americas, and that got to be just an ancient culture, that spread from some people will say the Middle East, somewhere Egypt, whatever. Or actually, they say Hinduism is the oldest religion. So maybe I need to look at what are the oldest temples, pyramidal structures in the world, and it probably is Asia, somewhere near India. You know what? Let me ask, because now I have a theory. Where is the world's oldest pyramidal temple structures?
Some of the oldest pyramidal structures are the ziggurats of ancient Mesopotamia, with the earliest one called the Anu ziggurat, dating back to around 4000 BC. Another early structure is the Pyramid of Djoser in Egypt, built around the 27th century BC. There are also claims about Gunung Padang in Indonesia possibly being even older, though
Hmm.
that's still debated. And when it comes to temples, Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, dating back about 12,000 years, is often considered the world's oldest temple.
Okay, so I'm not concerned with just a temple itself. I'm looking at the actual architecture. So this would make sense because I always ask this question when it comes to similarities across the oceans with people's culture. I always ask, well, is this through contact or is this just humans being similar? So they just naturally do similar things. I'm thinking that this is something that spread and it's not a random, just natural human thing. It's coming from a shared culture. Let me see. Let me get the right word. I think he used the word uh, cultural diffusion. Cultural diffusion. What's the other one? Cultural diffusion occurs through various mechanisms such as migration, trade, conflict, and communication. This exchange, okay, so it's through contact. Refers to the process by which cultural traits, ideas, beliefs, and practices spread and intermingle between different societies and regions. So I'm gonna just keep on reading, but I'm developing a theory. There are numerous research articles, papers, chapters, and books by East Indians and non-East Indians on the influence of Hinduism in India on the first peoples of the New World. For example, the book Hindu America illustrates the imprints of Hindu culture on the Americas. Lau and Gordon Ekholm are also systematically compared the Maya, Aztec, Inca, and North American indigenous civilizations with India and the Hindu Buddhist oriented countries of Southeast Asia. I'm almost willing to say that the culture in like uh, s- southern basically Mexico and probably to the northern portions of South America. That region is more similar to Southeast Asia than that region is to North America as a whole. I'm almost tempted to make that claim. And that would support what the genetic history says is that there were two distinct groups that migrated. Um, or it could just be that similar climates and conditions will produce similar cultures just based off of environment. It's another possibility. Compared the Maya, Aztec, Inca, and North American indigenous civilizations with India and the Hindu Buddhist oriented countries of Southeast Asia. In his monumental work, India and World Civilization, 1969, the Asian scholar D.P. Singhal not only cataloged the cultural similarities, but also showed the comparisons of plants between the two geographical areas. Drawing from a wide range of sources, Singhal demonstrated how coconuts and sweet potatoes were originally distributed from Asia, cotton fabric, and a cotton string recovered from excavation sites at Mohenjo-Daro and Indus Valley indicate that cotton was cultivated and used in craft in ancient India. Okay. Robert Hein Geerden, 1966, an Austrian ethnologist, historian, and archaeologist, wrote, any scholar similar with the ancient civilizations of the Old World, when studying those of Mesoamerica, will necessarily be struck by the fact that their cosmological ideas, the system of lucky and unlucky days, the divination from the calendar, the institutions of the state, the hierarchy of offices, kingship, the royal courts and ceremonials, the insignia of royalty and rank, the schools, the administration of justice, the markets, all correspond to a very large extent to those of Asia. Okay, still 2 paragraphs away from the end of this article, my question is still unanswered of if this is true, when did this admixture take place? Did it take place before there was even a migration? Because I'm sure if I look into some history, I'm gonna find that there was contact between the Hindi or Indian Bharat people and the people of Siberia. Uh, I'm gonna have to look into that prior to 17,000 years ago or during that time. The correspondences between the ancient cultures of Middle America and Hinduism are too striking and numerous to be ignored. The contemporary annual Amerindian smoke ceremony in Arima, with its ritual use of flowers, water, conch shell, etc., is similar to the Hindu Hawan Puja sacrificial fires. You know what? I'm gonna look this up. This right here. Sacrificial fire ceremony. However, almost all Western anthropologists have overlooked these similarities or have merely made passing references to them. In his book, Mexico, for example, Michael D. Coe described the old fire god as an avatar of Omet, Ometodo, however, in the Aztec cosmic ages as Kalpas. Amerindians and East Indians, especially Hindus and Muslims, shared many threads in common. One is that their traditional culture and religion have been treated and described by Christians as devilish and uncivilized. This is true. Another connection is their legendary resistance to conversion to Christianity. That is also true because I don't see a lot of. I don't know if I ever met a, a Indian. I shouldn't say that. I was gonna say Indian Christian, but when I say Indian, I'm thinking of like the brown skin ones, like the dark skin ones, not the ones that look very fair skinned. Them, they probably do have Christianity. But the ones that look like this dude in darker, I don't know if I ever met a Christian one, which is very interesting. Now that I think about it, because I ain't never thought about that. So they do resist Christianity very strongly. But the Amerindian people did not, because now those people today are Christians, and their mixed relatives are Christians largely. And even in North America, I've come across Native Americans that believed in like being Hebrew Israelites. So there's not as strong as of a resistance from the Native Americans compared to the people that's being referred to as like Hindi, Bharat, and Indian. So that was one thing I had. Here's the second one. The second one's a video, and it's gonna. Oh wait, I said I was gonna look up that fire ceremony that he listed in there. Okay, so here's the fire ceremony. Apparently, it's an Indian fire ceremony that is gonna resemble the fire ceremony that they do in Trinidad in Arima. Okay. Fire. I mean, I can't confirm if this is what it is. This is the first thing that came in when I typed it. I'll watch a few of them though.
This powerful form of prayer is a Havan, a fire ritual to purify, cleanse, heal, and transform into a higher vibration.
Okay, I already know what this is. This is this is spirituality. This is just a raw form of spirituality. Now, where it comes to become religions, when you start adding in gods to it, right? Now you're going into religion. It's no longer just a pure, strict form of spirituality. This is what I would expect people to do that don't know about religion or quote unquote a god, right? This is what I would expect people to be doing: burning flowers, sorry, fires, chanting, dancing, uh, probably taking dives into the ocean as like a symbol of purification, stuff like that. I would expect to see that from societies where they don't have a large dominant religion. All right, let me see if there's another video. Taste of a healing fire homa. This looks like a Hindu dude. Let's see what he's doing. Look like they cooking to me. All right. Hinduism. Fire sacrifice in India.
We prepared the altar.
Let's watch this one.
We prepared the altar with the stones, and we add the bricks, and then we add cow dung to purify the whole place.
This idea of purification, people do it casually today with was it sage?
And now the Brahmanas are here. Hare Krishna. So Ravi Kumar Bhatt came. So he is the main Brahmana, main Pujari.
And then now that brings me to like even in Abraham, well, I'll say Islam, fire being used as purification. When you die, if you were wicked, as judged by Allah, you going to the hellfire where you're gonna burn. I think some say for eternity, but it's to purify your soul from what I think I understand. So again, this whole thing with fire and purification is still similar, even in and out of the religions.
He is the cousin of Vidyananda Bhatt. Hare Krishna. And this is Mukunda, Mr. Mukunda. Hare Krishna. I'm going to videotape some of the process, and here turmeric.
Turmeric,
Turmeric.
okay. So I know turmeric is used as like a deep cleanser, and also sometimes used for illnesses, right? I know it could be used for your skin. I think you could even consume it, like eat it. And now he's using this for the fire. This is interesting.
Look at this. The whole Vedic sacrifice, fire sacrifice, is a whole art. It's a technology, spiritual technology. And of course, the devotee dog is very nosy. Okay, you should go over there. Hey, go over there. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Oh, look at this. This is rice flour, huh?
Yeah.
Rice flour. Wow. Very beautiful.
Yeah, this Satvik,
Satvik.
Rajas,
And Tamas. Yes. Three.
Not too long ago, I did a show that kind of I compare and contrasted the similarities and the differences. Well, I just said the same thing twice between Hinduism and Islam, like the way they structure the book and break it down. Believe it or not, there's similarities between the two, and even the differences are similar. The Hindus don't eat cow. Muslims don't eat pork. The Hindus worship the calf. The Muslims I was gonna say despise pork, but even in the story with the Egyptians, the second surah talks about the calf and those who used to worship it, things like that. So there's a lot of intertwining qualities in history that's very interesting.
Material, the gunas. 3 gunas, yeah. Satvik, Rajas, Tamas. This indicates the 3 material modes of nature. Satvik means mode of goodness, Tamas, mode of passion, that's the middle, and the third one will be Tamas. Yeah.
Last I heard, they were beefing over there. Oh, dang. No pun intended. They were beefing over there in India, the Hindus and the Muslims, man. They got some conflict going on over there. I don't know if it's crazy, but I did hear some stuff that sounded crazy. I don't want to generalize in other people's country because I don't live over there, so I don't know. But apparently it'd be going down over there in India between the Hindus and the Muslims, man.
Yeah, Rajas is the mode of passion. And then Tamas, mode of ignorance, black. Means no knowledge. Tamas, no knowledge. Here we continue. And this is white rice flour. Very beautiful.
Rice flour.
Rice flour, yes. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Wow. So this is the main direction where the puja will, where the brahmana will sit and throw the items into the fire. Very beautiful colors. Very far out colors. And every line has a certain meaning, which I don't know.
जरूर डूमन देते हैं इसकी माँ की मौलाना के मन में रहा
So the reason I'm watching this is because the writer of that article, that professor, he said this ceremony is similar to the ceremony that you will find in Trinidad in Arima with the first people. So we're gonna watch the ones in Trinidad after this.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.
All right, we about 5 minutes in. So they're making a fire. They keep talking about Krishna.
Main Padya.
Main Padya?
Main Vadyar.
Main priest.
Main priest. Head priest.
I'm helping.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
I gotta say this. I feel like a lot of people, they do kind of have that abject attitude toward the practice of Hinduism. And to me personally, I don't understand it, but it don't bother me. So, you know, from their perspective, I gotta do more research, but from their perspective, they probably like, yo, people are like discriminatory, hateful. But then again, I gotta do more research on it because once I learn more, shit, I might have a problem with it. You know?
Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol.
हरि ओम सुमुखस्य एकदन्तस्य कपिलो गजगणगः लम्बोदरस्य विघ्नो विघ्ननाशो गणाधिपः धूमकेतु गणाधिपो बालचन्द्रो गजा.
Okay. I'm just trying to get a good idea of it. This right here, this don't really remind me of any American cultures, to be honest. You know, this is very different than the way I seen the indigenous Americans practice their spirituality. This is much more meditative. Like the indigenous Americans, like they get up and they move around and they do like a bunch of stuff. But this is just one ceremony. I got to do more research. But it's not reminding me of anything I've seen from the indigenous Americans spiritually. All right, when they gonna burn the damn fire? They ain't gonna burn the fire, huh? All right, we're gonna look at the other one now. So the other one was First Nations, Trinidad, Arima ceremony. I've watched this before, so this might not be new for people who have seen me share this on the channel. So this is the guy they was talking about with the Indian middle name. It's a newscast.
In commemoration of the First Peoples Recognition Day, celebrated on October 14th annually, the First Peoples of Santa Rosa participated in an ancient river ritual at the Blanchisseuse River. This river ritual included a cleansing from a calabash-type pot. Those who participated in the cleansing process made sure to wash their faces and behind their ears. Following the cleansing, the calabash pot was carried on the banks of the river, where worshippers gathered to hear an address from the chief of the Santa Rosa First Peoples community. Then the worshippers offered their prayers to the various elements of nature.
So this is the dude, Ricardo Baratan Hernandez, something like that. He's the one with the Hispanic name, the Hindi middle name that was talked about in the article. So that's him right there.
They sang some ancient songs before making their way one by one into the river. Speaking to C News, Mr. Hernandez said that for many years, the First Peoples were denied their right to practice their rituals after the indoctrination of Christianity.
We assemble on the banks of the Arima River to do our river ceremony or water ceremony. This is an ancient practice that was stifled for many years due to Christianity. But as you know, there was a reawakening throughout indigenous communities quite a few years ago.
But now Mr. Hernandez says this river ritual is a revival of the right of the First Peoples to practice their rituals.
It was part of a planned activity, but starting from the days of the colonists, the colonizers, to take away the culture of the First Peoples, the indigenous, to impose their own culture and traditional beliefs.
All right, got to get another video. 2015. Yeah, why not? 2015. That's recent.
Unforgettable.
That looks a lot different from the first one, though, with the Hindi people.
Oh, yes. Yes. Go ahead. Alana, we're going to get it.
All right, this is not what I'm looking for. Try one more. I think I just watched this one. Yeah, we just watched this one. So they have a water ritual. I was looking for the fire ceremony. This is 6 years ago, 2018. So I question somewhat the authenticity of, these practices, because he said it himself that it was stifled by Christianity, and then they had a revitalization. So I feel like they're probably just recalling what their ancestors were doing, so now they're trying to like reenact it, kind of similar to what you find in America or North America with Black people that say, you know what, I'm going to practice African spirituality. I kind of see it in the same sense. Like this group would be similar to, what African Americans are doing or Black Americans in North America are doing. My next question would be, is this just what you guys do on certain days, or is this a part of your everyday lifestyle in any capacity? Because I would really like to know if they walk around dressed like this, how often they have these ceremonies. Do they retain any names? Like what was the degree of the cultural retention, if there was any of it? But all right, that's enough for me. Probably come back, touch on. I don't know if I'll read the Duce Muhammad book or if I'll go into more Portuguese history, which I might do, tie it to Massachusetts more. Peace.